All right, check this out. SharePoint has been around for over 20 years, yet most people still don't fully understand it. If you've ever wasted time digging through messy files, managing endless spreadsheets, or struggling with team collaboration, this video is your shortcut. I'm giving you 15 years of SharePoint expertise condensed into one ultimate guide.
Now, fair warning,
this video is kind of long. It's a whole, you know what I'm saying? But every minute is packed with game-changing insights that will completely transform how you run your business. Now stick with me and you won't regret it. Trust me. In the next hour, you'll know exactly how to use SharePoint sites, lists, and document libraries to streamline your business. And I'll prove why SharePoint is not just a document storage tool like a lot of people think. I'll show you how you can set up an automated incident reporting system in SharePoint without having to hire a developer. So get ready to unlock 15 years of SharePoint expertise in 1 hour. No fluff, no theory, just practical real-world knowledge to help you master SharePoint and use it to transform your business. So if you're a business owner, stick around till the end because I have a special resource to help you implement everything we covered today. Let's dive in. All right, so at its core, SharePoint is built around 3 main features: sites, lists, and libraries. Now, understanding these is the key to mastering SharePoint. So let's break down each one. Okay, sites. This is the foundation of your SharePoint setup. Think of it as like your digital workspace where everything is housed. Lists. This is a powerful way to structure and manage data without the chaos of spreadsheets. And libraries. This is where your documents live, but with more capabilities than like Google Drive or Dropbox. All right, now let's go deeper into each one. A SharePoint site is where everything comes together. It's your team's digital headquarters, a place where essential information, documents, and tools are stored and accessed in one location. All right, now imagine you run a company with multiple departments. Instead of endless email chains, each department has its own SharePoint site. HR, finance, marketing, it's all housed under one company-wide intranet. Now here's how you can use SharePoint sites effectively. So first, you want to create a home page with quick links to essential resources. Then you want to customize access so employees see only what's relevant to them. You can embed tools like calendars, forms, and task lists to streamline operations. A SharePoint site is your single source of the truth. You no longer have to worry about outdated files, lost documents, or confusion about where to find important info. Now look, spreadsheets, they have their place. They weren't built for collaboration. That's what SharePoint lists are meant for. In Excel, you email a file to multiple people. Version control nightmare. In SharePoint, everyone works off the same list in real time. No duplicates, no confusion. Now here's an example. Instead of tracking project tasks in Excel, create a SharePoint task list. Assign owners, due dates, and priority levels. Then automate notifications so no one ever misses an update. And the best part, lists integrate seamlessly with Power Automate, which allow you to set up workflows which handle repetitive tasks. Many people think that SharePoint is just a document repository. And I need to tell you, it's way more than that, like much more. A SharePoint library organizes files with built-in version history, metadata tagging, and security controls, something Google Drive and Dropbox can't match. Now, why does this matter? Because no more duplicates. One file, always up to date. Metadata tagging, instead of like rummaging through folders, you can just filter files instantly. And there's access control. You can share files securely with special teams or clients. Think of it like having Google Drive, Dropbox, and a database all in one. All right, now let's bring all of this together with a real world case study. Here's a scenario. You're running an organization that needs an incident reporting system. All right, so listen, we've already talked about sites, lists, and libraries in that order, but when we're actually building, I like to go in a different order. First, I like to build my list, put the columns together, make sure that's good to go. Then I like to work with my documents, and then I like to put together the site. The reason being is because we want to work on those things behind the scenes, get them all ready to go, and then, you know, if you listen to when I say CMD, collect, manage, and display, we want to take those things and display them. We want to put them on a page and show them to everyone. So it's kind of like you go in the back, you cook up, you do what you got to do, and then you come out with the things, you know, you serve on a platter you present this to everybody. You use the site to present things to everybody, so that's why we do that last. So first, let's create our incident reporting list. So the very first thing we want to do is think about what columns we're going to collect in the incident reporting list. So we obviously want to know who reported the incident. We want to know where the incident happened, when the incident happened, maybe get some details on the incident, and then set a status of open. You could go as detailed or not detailed as you would like. It really depends on your organization and what type of information you collect. But we're going to go, like I said, we're going to talk about who reported the incident, when the incident happened, where did it happen, get some details on that incident, and then set a status of open because, you know, this incident has to be worked before we can call it complete. So we're going to hop into my screen. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the SharePoint Help Desk mock intranet. It's called the Workbench. And we're going to use it, and I want you to think of it as your intranet if we built one for you. We being the SharePoint Help Desk, if we built a intranet for your organization. So ours internally is called the Workbench, and we can do whatever we want. We put a bunch of information here for employees. Now, once you have your intranet up, now we want to create an incident reporting page or incident reporting site. But before we do that, like I said, first thing we want to do is create our list and collect our columns. So on the home page, you click New, and then you click on List. If your tenant is up to date, you'll see various ways to create your list via a list, a form, gallery, calendar, or board. But we're only going with the list process. This is where you pick all your columns and such. So we'll call this incident reporting. We'll leave a space out of it. The reason why we're not putting a space between the names is between the words is so that once this gets created, there's going to be a URL that is created to take you directly to this tool. If you put a space in those words, then it creates a space in the URL. If we take the space out, there's no space in the URL. You get a clean URL. It just is easier to work with. So we're going to uncheck show lists in navigation because we don't want to show anyone this just yet. We'll put it back in navigation, but not right now, not while we're working on it behind the scenes. So we hit create. So every time you create a new list, you automatically get this column called title. That is the main thing that you're tracking. In our case, we're tracking incidents. So one of the first things I like to do is rename that column to what we're actually tracking. And so since we're tracking incidents, I would rename that column from title to incident. In addition, the name of the list that we created that had no space in the title, we can now change that. So you just simply click on incident reporting, and then you put a space in between incident and reporting, and now hit save. So now we have a cleaner, more user-friendly looking name, but we still have, if you look at the top here, we still have our incident reporting URL. So we're good to go there. Now, let's change the title to what we're actually tracking, which is incidents. So we would click on it, go to column settings, rename, and call this incident. Now remember, we wanted some details on when, we wanted some details of the incident. We did talk about, wanting to know when it happened and where it happened and then setting a status. But right now, let's just get the details of the incident. So what we would do there is hit add column, and we would pick multiple lines of text. The reason why is we want to give them the space to type in the details instead of just one line of text. So you can see the difference. When we had one line, you just have this one little space. But if you click multiple lines, you have a pretty big space right here. So then we hit next. And we would call this column details. Then we hit save. So we're collecting the incident, then we're collecting the details. Now we want the date. So we hit add column, create date, click on date and time, then click next. Now we're going to call this date, But also, we think that people are going to put in incidents the day that they happened. So we can default this column to showing today's date. This still gives them the ability to change the date, but we're just setting it up thinking about maybe one little thing they could save time on is not having to pick the date because maybe they're putting in the incident the same date. You'll see here more in a second why this makes sense. So default value, you'll see it right here. We'll say today's date. Then we'll hit save. Now we also want to know where did the incident happen. So, you know, we have buildings dispersed all over the place. Let's say our organization. We have 3 buildings in one state. We have 2 buildings in another state. We got one big headquarters in the main state. So we're all over the place. So we can make our location a choice. We can say, you know, what building did this happen in? So we could say, you know, building 1, building 2, building 3. However we identify our buildings, we can do that. Or if you would prefer to have people just type in where the location is, you can do that too. So if it's going to be a part of your tracking later that you want to see which building is having more incidents than the other, I would suggest just making it a choice field and having them pick from locations that make sense in your organization. The building 3, 3rd floor, building 3, 1st floor, you know, building, main building, kitchen, whatever it is, however you identify locations where you can have incidents. In this case, I'm going to show you what it would look like if you made it a choice, but don't forget that you don't have to make it a choice. You could also make it a single line text field and just let people write whatever they want. So we'll hit add column, we'll pick choice, then we'll click next. Now in this name column, we'll call this location, and then we will say, you know, building 1, building 2, and building 3. Then we'll hit save. Now there is another field. It's a location field that is connected to Bing and allows you to type in addresses. You can use that if you want. I personally don't use it. I don't think it's a good field. I think it's really clunky, and it doesn't find addresses quickly and easily like you have come to expect on the internet. So I don't really recommend it. However, if you would like to use it, you can go right on ahead, see for yourself. Now, let's take a look at what the form looks like now that we're complete. Oh, wait, we have to add the status. Let's add the status. So we'll add a column, add another choice, and give this thing some statuses. So we'll say status is the name of the column. The choices we have are open, in progress, and completed. Now, we do like to associate completed with green. So let's make completed green, change in progress to yellow, and just keep open as blue. And we hit save. So here's the cool thing about SharePoint. When you create a list like this to collect information, you automatically get a form that looks like the list that you've created. So I created a list that has an incident field, details, date, location, and status. And I created them in that order. So when I open my form, the form is going to look just like those columns I created in that order. So let's look at that real quick. If I hit add new item. See, there's the incident. Then they're going to type in the details. Then they're going to hit the choose a date. They're going to pick a location. Then we're going to default the status to open, and then we can have them add any attachments. So let's make those updates, because when you have the form like this, you don't want to just leave it like this. You have some choices to make. So the incident obviously is a very important thing. We need the incident because we want to know what happened. The details also important because we want to know the details of what happened. Where it happened is also important. But if the choice is not in there, if I just said building 1, building 2, building 3, maybe I haven't left the choice in there so I can give them the opportunity to write something else other than building 1, 2, or 3, or I can just leave that the way it is. Then we have status. we want to default this status to open like we had mentioned. I didn't do that, so we're going to go back and do that. And then we can make a decision of whether or not we need them to make add attachments. I would say leave the attachments in, because let's say that somebody is reporting, a broken stall, if you will, in a bathroom. Maybe you want to have them take a picture with their phone of the broken stall and upload that as an attachment to the incident request. So definitely leave that in there. Now let's go back and make those updates. So incident should not just be left alone. Like I said, we need that information, so let's make that field mandatory. You would come here, go to column settings. Actually, wait, sorry. You have to go to the list settings to update this one. So go to list settings. You'll see the old school classic SharePoint look and feel. And you'll come down here to this field. See how it still is name titled? So this is another way to actually rename it. You would come here, click title, and it still says title, but we renamed it to incident. So let's rename it to incident. That's just one of them SharePoint like glitches, you know what I mean? Then right here, require that this column contains information. Let's click yes. We want them to put information in that incident column because it's, that's the main thing that we want. We hit OK. Now, you can continue to work in this view. This is fine, but I want to continue to show you what it looks like to do it in the modern view, because that's where I want you to do most of your work. Because, it's faster and easier in the modern view, where this view, it's more powerful, but it's a lot to remember going this way. Even though it's easy, you could just come right down the line and click through these links. Let me show you how to do it in the modern view, which is where you'll probably work more often. So we're back on the main view of the list. Now we come to details, we hit the drop down, go to column settings, and then hit edit. Right here, we'll say that require this column contains information. We say yes, because we don't want them to do what they would do if we were using Excel, which is you send the spreadsheet out, you tell them to put information into one of those fields, and then they just leave it blank. They don't put it in there for whatever reason. It could be a number of reasons. And then they send you that spreadsheet back with missing information. You don't want that. The way you combat that is by making these fields mandatory so that they cannot submit the form unless they give you that information. Date is mandatory. So we'll go to column settings, hit edit. Now the date is already filled in. We've set today's date for them. So highly likely they're not going to take the date and delete it out. What we want them to do is take the date and change it. Now, what might happen is they might see that column is already filled in and skip right over it. That's okay. That's better than no date. So we don't even really have to set this mandatory because the field is already populated with today's date by default. So what we'll do instead is just leave it blank. We don't have to update the mandatory status. We'll just leave it alone. You'll see it make more sense as we go through the form. So cancel that. We're not going to do that. Location, we do want to know, but we're going to update it in a way so that they can either pick one of our locations or type in their own information. So that's this choice right here. Can add values manually. We'll say yes, and we'll hit save. And the status, we'll go to column settings, we'll go to edit, and we want the status to default to open. So then we hit save. Okay, now that we've made those updates, let's look at the form again. I'm going to hit refresh real quick just in case, we got to make sure all those updates took. Now let's hit add new item and look at the form again. So now you can see the red asterisk next to the column because it's now mandatory. You see details, same thing. Date, we didn't update that, but you see the date default to today. And then the location, we still have our choices. And look right here. You already saw when I tried to pick a choice, it said you can't leave this field blank. We know that. And then the status defaults to open, and you still have the attachments. So let's put in an incident. The bathroom toilet bowl won't flush. And we'll say I was using the bathroom in our new building and couldn't I was using the bathroom in our new building and couldn't flush it. So that happened. I can show you that it happened Thursday. I'm allowed to change the date, but I get to pick from a date column instead of trying to write in my own date and date format like you would in a spreadsheet. Then the location, I said it's a new building. When I come to location and I see, oh, our new building is actually building 4, and we don't have that as a choice. So you can see this prompt right here. It says type to filter or add new choice. So I'll go building 4. That's my choice. And I see the status is open. I shouldn't even be seeing that because, I'm just a regular person submitting this. And admin needs to see the status and update the status. So I do that and I hit save. Now look at this. When I hit save, it automatically goes into the list. So you can see the incident. You can see the details. I'm going to spread this out. You can see the location. You can see the date. You can see the status. So that's cool. All right, good deal. We know our list is working. We put in an incident. It's doing fine. Now, let's make one more change. There's a new feature on SharePoint Lists called Forms right here, which allows you to create various kinds of forms for an individual list. So what we're going to do is create a new form, but the purpose of this form is so that no one doesn't see the status field. We don't want the regular workers to see the status field, so we'll hide it. There's different ways to do this, but I'm doing this for you so that you can see what the forms option does. So we'll open up Forms. You'll see we have an option to create a new form. And we can do all kinds of things here. We can add a logo, take and remove fields off of here. We could do branching. So what branching is if, I ask a question like, let's say we did the location field differently. And then the location field says, hey, what building did this happen in? And I pick building 2. And then I have another field that says building 2 floors, because I know in building 2 we have 3 floors, but in the other building we only have 1 floor. So if I see that the person picked building 2, then I'll make them go to another field that says choose a floor. That's what branching allows me to do in this form, but we're not doing branching. So we'll say incident report. We can put a logo if we wanted to. I'll grab the SharePoint Help Desk logo, add that in there. Incident, we want that there, that's fine. But here, look, you can add a description here. These forms are actually better than the SharePoint out-of-the-box form because they give you a better user interface. But I'm going to show you something else that it's not that good at, but it's fine. So use this form to report an incident. We have incident here, and we know that it's mandatory. You can see the asterisk. Details is mandatory. Date, we will actually have to make an update here that we did not have that we already have in the SharePoint out of the box form. So we would actually come here and you can see that we added the date to default to today, but it's not showing here. So we have to come here, then go to settings, and it says default today's date. So you'll see that when you're using the form. It's just that they have it kind of like, it looks a little bit different here in this form. So just get used to knowing that this is kind of separate from the form. Well, it is separate from the form that came out of the box. Location, we already got that good to go. And then status. Now, here's what we can do with status. We can easily just come to this and hit hide. So we hide it, good to go. Now we're done. But I can preview the form. So if I preview the form, I can take a look and I can see, here's my incident report. Here's my little blurb. I put in my incident. I put in my details. I choose my date. It's defaulting to today. And then my location I can still choose or pick a new one and then hit submit, but I don't see the status field. Because as a regular worker, I don't need to see the status field. It's the person who's managing the incident reports. They need to see the status field. Okay. So that is all done. We can use that to submit more more incidents to the, we can use that to submit more incidents to the list. And matter of fact, let's do that. So if we look at the forms, I can grab this link. So I want to link to that form. When I come here, and I paste that and go, I can say, there was an oil spill. There was a big oil spill in building 3 motor pool. That's where we keep all the vehicles. That happened today in building 3. Now I hit submit. Now this is what I was talking about before. So when you make this submission, even though this looks better than the SharePoint out of the box form and it functions better, this last piece right here is one thing I don't like. I want to be able to redirect the user to something else. Right here, they're stuck with either, I can customize this message, so that's fine. I can customize this thank you message. But then I have to either give them the option to submit another response or give them the option to create their own list. That's not what I want there. I want all of that gone. I want to be able to say thank you, and then I want to either put a link there to prompt them to go somewhere else or have this automatically redirect to go somewhere else, which is something I could do with the SharePoint out of the box form. So you have to make a decision of how you want to set that up. So anyway, when I go back to the list, we'll see that it's now in there. Or if it's not, we just hit refresh. See, there was an oil spill. It's in building 3, same deal. So now we know that our list is working and we have a form. We actually have 2 forms. We have the out of the box SharePoint form. If we wanted to use that, we could. But we have the one that we actually want, which is the form we just created using forms, which is this one. So now let's hop on over to a library. Like I said, we go in list, then library, then site. Let's hop on over to a library so that we can see what documents we want to put with this request. So I'm going to hit back to the SharePoint Help Desk logo to go back home. All right, listen. So we have finished the list portion. We created our incident reporting list. Remember, we have 2 more things to do. We got to deal with the documents, and then we got to deal with the site. With the documents, what I'm about to show you on my screen here is how we can upload documents into our library in SharePoint, and then we can tag them. After tagging them, we can then make them show up on other pages based on those tags. So in my screen here, you can see I've uploaded, let's get a count here. I'm gonna say name, totals, count. I've uploaded 9 documents. And there's some metadata that supports these documents. And what metadata is just information that describes a thing. So these pieces of information in these columns describe these documents. It's supporting information for the documents. So for these few sample capability statements, you can see that when they were modified, who they were modified by, and then a column. These columns right here, modified and modified by, they come standard with SharePoint. But doc type, policy type, capability statement type, I added those because of my environment. I track capability statements, policies, that type of stuff. So that's why you see those in there. I decided to create my doc type column, go to column settings and edit. When I created this column, you can see I have policy or memo or capability statement. I can make this list longer, but for the purposes of this demo, I just wanted to show you that I had my doc types, my document types, and they were policy, memo, or capability statement. So now after policy, memo, and capability statement, inside of my policy type, if you look at my policy type column, This is where you've uploaded a policy, and so now you choose the kind of policy that it is. It could be an incident report, it could be an NDA, it could be an employment policy, whatever. Like, those are the choices. Just making this stuff up. And here, I also have a column called capability statement type. So if you upload a capability statement, then I'm going to have you choose whether it's healthcare or defense or IT. Those are the different categories we could put our capability statements. Now, there is a much more nuanced and complicated and powerful way to do what I'm doing here. But depending on your situation will determine if you just take this regular basic way or you take it to the next level and, get more complicated for your big organization. Right now, we're doing it very simple so that I could drive home the concept. But this is not like just for the demo and don't ever use this concept. Absolutely use this when I'm showing. It's powerful even at this level. So here's the thing you can do. In libraries and lists, you can create views. I've created a view called capability statements. On the capability statement view, you only deal with capability statements. You can see it says doc type is capability statement. And I have 4 capability statements. And right here, they're healthcare, IT, and defense. Those are the 4. That's how my 4 capability statements are broken down. I have another view. This one is called policies. In my policies, you can see I only have policies. And I have 2 employment policies and 2 incident report policies. Now, for the purposes of what we're doing right now, you know that we care about the incident report policies. That's all we care about. But I wanted to show you the library so you could see what's going on so that you could then make sense of the next step, which is when we bring it all together with a site. So again, if we go back to the all documents view, you'll see all of our documents are there. And how they're broken down is there. But in our views, we only care about the columns that pertain to the document. Again, that would be for capability statements. We only care about the capability statement type. And for policies, we only care about the policy type. That's what we did with the views. All right. Now, let's get to the site and bring everything together. Okay, so from the document library, anywhere in SharePoint, you got the upper left-hand corner where the logo is of your company. Click that. That'll take you back to the home page. So I'm going to click on the SharePoint Help Desk logo. All right, so we're back home. I'm on my site. I'm on the SharePoint Help Desk site. But more of what you might be doing is creating pages within the site. So when I say you want to use a site, you definitely want to use a site, but I'm highly likely probably talking about pages within the site because the site exists. You're just going to keep populating it with information. And one of those kinds of information would be a page or pages. You're going to be definitely putting a lot of pages out there. So not just the pages, but the content that goes on the page. That's what we're about to do. We're about to create a page. And then after creating that page, we're going to bring everything all together. So here we go. I'm going to click new and then click page. Inside of page, I have these templates that they created, or I can create my own templates and save them on here. I currently don't have any, but I can create that if I wanted to. I'm going to go with blank. Then I'm going to hit create page. After creating a page, I'm now going to update some items on the page. So right here on the page, I'm going to say incident reporting. That's the page. Then up here, I'm actually going to delete this. And I'm going to delete this. But I'm going to keep this section right here. I'm going to keep this section. And then I'm going to change the background of this section. I'm coming here with my SharePoint Help Desk blue. Because when you create a SharePoint site, you get to update the branding with your branding colors. Mine is updated with my SharePoint Help Desk colors. So I have my background blue, and in this text, I'm going to type in incident reporting. Then I'm going to bold it, I'm sorry, wait. First, I'm going to put it as a heading 2. And yeah, then I'm going to keep it bolding. And then change that to 32. And then, you know, we could put a little icon here. So Windows key and period brings up this. And I'll say, oh, actually, here, what I want is right there. This little document right there looks like a paper. So we got our incident reporting heading, right? Now, let's get some lorem ipsum text just to put a quick blurb at the top. So this right here could be your, you know, welcome to the page. Here's why we do incident reporting here, whatever. I'm going to add another text block underneath here. I'm going to drop the text in here. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create another section, a 1-column section. And I'm going to move this text into that section. We have our quick description of the page, and then we have our heading. Now, next, I want to bring together what we've been doing. So I'm going to add another section, but I'm going to make this make it 1/3 right. Because what we want to do is put the form on this page in addition to some text on the page, right? So we already have our text, but let's now take our incident reporting list. Let's go back and find our list, which is right here, right? And remember, we created this form. So I'm going to come in here and copy this link. I want the link. And then I'm going to come back on this page, and I'm going to add a button. And this button, I'm just going to update it and say new report. I'm going to drop this link in here. And I'll put it in the middle. And as a matter of fact, we don't really, here's what we can do. We can make this text the text that they need to see here on the side. And look what happens when I publish the page. That middle part, because it doesn't have any content, I should say, you won't even notice it. So this is the page, the quote site portion of it, because remember, we're already on a site. We're on the SharePoint Help Desk site. If we wanted to create another site to, you know, make it separate for a whole nother reason, we can do that very easily. But in this case, we're using the site, create a page on the site, and then put the stuff that we want to put on a page. I am all about pages. Create as many pages as possible for whatever you need to do. Obviously, you know, make sure it makes sense the way you have it, but create pages. It's just like the internet, where you go to a website, what are you going to see on a website? Tons and tons and tons of pages, because they have content that they have to produce. You have to do the same thing too. So here's our page. Our page says incident reporting. We get a quick blurb understanding what's going on here. And then we can look at this, click the button. And what happens when we click the button? Then we see a new incident. And we can submit it. That is where you want to be. That's why you have the list that collects the data. Then you have your documents that you put together, and then you have your site or site page, and then you bring it all together on that page. Now, this works. Let's add some more things. For instance, our documents that we talked about. So you would edit the page. Here, let's move this section up to above here. And let's just use this section that we still had. Now this one moved down. So let's add a web part called highlighted content. Highlighted content right here, right? Now it shows all of these documents on the site, but let's click here and configure it. So first, do I want to show the title? Yes. What I'm going to do is call this related documents. Then I'm not going to keep heading 2. I like heading 4 for all of these headings on the page. So I'm going heading 4. Then the source is this site, but let's get a little bit more specific. A document library on this site. You find a document library that's on your site. We put ours in a document library called documents. You can leave document type at any type because you might be pulling any kind of document for you right here. But you can choose, if you want to specify a certain type of document. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to the filter and I'm going to say, I want a column name. So what we'll do is we'll choose policy type. Policy type equals incident report. And then it can look like this, or we can slim it down and not look so extra by changing the list. You could change it to carousel. You have a bunch of different ways you can do this. Compact. Now, the reason why it's showing a different name is because the field that shows up there is different. So you have to update that. What's showing up is title. You have to update name. The goal here is to show you how we can bring it all together. So now look at our page. Incident report at the top. We got our blurb that explains what we do here. Hit new report. And then, we have related documents. And these documents update dynamically. So if for some reason I said, this one down here, secondary employment policy, let's say that I change to an incident report. Then when I come back over here to the incident reporting page, see, I only got 2 documents, but when I hit refresh, all 3 of them should show up. Now you see 3 documents. So yeah, that is it. This is what I wanted to show you, how to bring all 3 of these things together. Once you do that, at this point, you can go crazy with how you lay this out and make it look. If you take a look at my employee handbook that I have for the SharePoint help desk on this site for demo purposes, you can see I have a different background. I put breadcrumbs on here. Shout out to Dan Carroll. I have my blurb on the page. I have related other pages. Then down here, I have other sections with other information. So I can come here to this EEO policy and I can see again the top with the title, the breadcrumb, who's the point of contact, related information, text on the page. I can embed a video. People can give it a thumbs up, all of that. If we look at this other page right here that we did for this upcoming inspection. So if I click here on the upcoming inspection and I see a link to go to the inspection page, then look, I have the title of the inspection. I have related resources. I got details here on page. Then I do have other related documents, see, with the correct. Oh, so we want the title. The title is what shows. We want the correct title. As you can see them right here. When they were last modified, all of that. I've just given you the concept, which is create the list, update your documents, and then bring it all together on a page and make it easy to get to those. Click a button so you can open the form, make it so that people can get to whatever documents they want to based on your query. Do that. And then how you want to design it, what you do and don't want to show, what more things you want to add to the page, it's on you. What you have right here is just a concept. I'll make more videos so you can see the different concepts you can deploy. But for this specifically, I just wanted to show you the base concept so that you could take that and run with it. So hopefully that was helpful and you did get what you came for. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified next time I drop a new video. Thanks for watching. All right, so now that you've seen what SharePoint can do, imagine implementing it in your business. I offer one-on-one strategy calls to help business owners set up and optimize SharePoint for their specific needs. If you're ready to get serious about organization and efficiency, book a call right now using the link in the description. And if you found this valuable, please hit the like button, subscribe for more productivity tips, and share this video with someone still relying on outdated spreadsheets. Until next time, stay efficient, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next video.